Attention, all curious minds, innovators, and trendsetters. It's time to pause, lean in, and get ready for an extraordinary journey as we dive deep into the fascinating realms of life, technology, entertainment, and business. Let's explore, learn, and grow together. Brace yourselves, for the next thrilling episodes of Hipther Talks is about to take off. Counting down from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And here we go.
Hi everyone, Zoltan here. We're back again this week at Hipther Talks. Today I have a special guest here with me, Vladislav Boroviks, CEO at Bedford Pay. Hi Vladislav, it's nice to have you here.
Hi, good to see you.
Today we're staying in the fintech and finance space because that's something we really like. So I'd just like to kick things off by having our guest introduce himself. So Vladislav, can you briefly introduce yourself and share a bit about your journey into the finance and fintech sector?
Yes, sure. So it's a very interesting story I have because my journey started in early 2000 when I got higher education. I've been studying for two directions, finance and IT. It was a little bit crazy at that time because there was no such a word as a fintech. I was just interested in computers, programming, and at the same time also I've been kind of in banking, and I also liked all these finance stuff. So yeah, my journey started basically from the educational background, and after some years and after some journey, it's perfectly combined together in fintech industry where I'm right now, and we're talking about it here.
All right, so maybe say a few words about Bedford Pay as well.
Sure. Bedford Pay, it's UK EMI. It's electronic money institution. So basically we work in a transactional business, opening accounts and helping customers to do their payments, their currency exchanges, and basically all what is needed for small, medium businesses.
All right. Yeah. So you mentioned that when you started, there was no fintech. So there was only IT or finance. And since you have such a solid background in both of them, how do you think these two fields have converged over the years, and especially in the realm of fintech?
Mm-hmm. I see this was happening slowly, but steady, and it has to be done like this, because this is two parts where they are not able to exist one without another. I remember myself working in a high street bank with a banking system from 60s or 70s, where you can see like black screen and the numbers, and you just to check the client balance, you need to write a request on certain language you need to know. So it was terrible user experience from the banker's perspective. So this obviously needed to be changed. But the fact that this industry involves so many features and the risks, because it's money, and money is always drawing attention for anybody. So that's why we had to wait a certain point of time when the security is good enough, when the user interface is developing, when it's possible to combine all together. And that's how fintech was born, I believe.
Yeah, you mentioned that bankers and the staff in the banks had this type of user interfaces, and as I think the ATMs were the same thing, but now you can see all colored and stuff like that in the ATMs as well. So it must have been quite a journey to see.
Yeah, that's true. Everything is changing, and it's good. It's good. It's very dynamic and exciting environment.
All right. So, as the CEO of Bedford Pay, what are some of the key challenges and rewards you've encountered in the fintech startup scene?
Okay, there is many challenges.
Yeah, of course.
in fintech. I think the most critical and important is, of course, the team itself who is building the project, working on something together. And then it also goes down to a partnership, because by yourself it's maybe not economically efficient and not worth trying to build something. There is too many products, too many good companies around, so you can combine and use different features and make your own product much better, much efficient, and much interesting for customers, for users, for everybody. So the tricky thing is to balance between your team, your aims, your abilities to do certain things, and the providers who can give you some ready solutions, and you need to have a certain level of trust and relationship with them. So building and balancing in between, it's I think one of the toughest thing in initial stage of developing fintech project.
All right. So when creating these questions, I found that you have been an economist in the food industry, right?
Yeah, that's true. It was it was when I was studying. So this gives me great experience working with the numbers, with the spreadsheets, calculating the budgets, so the production. Sometimes it's similar. For example, if you do produce food stuff, you have certain suppliers, prices, logistics, everything. So you can calculate, make a spreadsheet, and then work and plan your work according to this. In fintech, it's similar, but you have a production. It's your developers, maybe suppliers. It's your, I don't know, some SaaS suppliers or something else. So you're just making very similar things on Excel spreadsheets and planning the product. Of course, it's a completely different product, but the way they're working is certain similarities.
All right. So this transition must have been quite a journey from being an economist in the food industry to banking and then into fintech. So can you tell us some of the key moments or decisions that prompted this shift?
Okay, so I think the key moments and decisions was when talking about myself and journey, when I was willing to move to banking industry from this production economist and like a real business to financial business. So that was the kind of my aim, my goal, and my willing to do so. So there was possibility to jump into the new project run by Swedish bank SEB. What was very interesting and exciting for me. So I joined that site. So I believe this was a start of fintech journey, because when you are already in a banking infrastructure in a high street bank, doesn't matter, you learn a lot, you understand the way how the transaction flows, how the money flows, and you can then use it in a future projects.
All right. So you also have history in the SEB bank in Sweden, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's the one.
How did you experience in traditional banking influence or inform your approach to fintech?
Mm-hmm. Okay, my experience was very positive. from this time working at this bank, I learned a lot. I had very good mentors and colleagues, and we've been talking and working very efficiently. And I just wanted to add also important timing, the age. It was my, I think, kind of 25 or 24, something like that, when I started this journey. And I believe this is a very productive age when you are like a sponge. You are just getting all the information. You are hungry for everything, and the time spent there, like 1 month, equal to, I don't know, half year in the university, or I don't know, 5 months in my ages, because now it's a little bit more more. Yeah. Difficult maybe, or maybe not so exciting, all these things. At that time, this bring me to attention of the banking, different products, different solutions what banking are using. And now, after years, I'm rethinking what was the processes, what new companies, new fintech businesses can take over from the traditional. So if you can imagine, a traditional bank has, by one company, it has already, I don't know, 10 or 20 fintech projects potentially inside. So it's all divided by small layers, small problems of what these fintech companies are trying to solve. For example, I don't know, currency exchange, there is certain projects for currency exchange. Identification, AML, payments. So there is a bunch of different directions.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So you also pioneered an online store. Is that correct?
Yes. That was like my switch to private business from the paycheck model.
All right. So how do you think the e-commerce and fintech intersect, especially in the modern digital landscape?
I think they go together, because I do believe they both help each other to grow. Because if there is no online stores, no online purchases, then there is less demand in online transactions. So what usually traditionally fintech businesses are serving, and vice versa. If you are not able to pay easily and quickly and without any hassle online, then you are not able to purchase something online. So that's two industries perfectly matched and going together.
All right. So you also are the co-founder of JewelPay, right? So I just want to get some information about, if you can share some insights about how the fundraising process went for JewelPay, and what are some of the strategies you employed, and what challenges did you face when raising funds?
Mm-hmm. JewelPay is a very interesting and exciting project. It helps to move our society cashless in terms of tipping, because everybody, not everybody, okay, but majority of happy visitors to the restaurants or to hairdressers, they tip. Yep. Their personal, but sometimes there is no cash to do this. So this a gap where JewelPay finds itself. This project requires a certain push to the market, and that's why it requires finance. And rising the finance nowadays, it's becoming more and more difficult, I would say, compared to 2 years ago, because fintech already maybe not the so hot topic. Sorry about saying that to you, but still. Yeah. It's very interesting, and there is a way to grow. but it's like economical cycles. Sometimes there is up wave, sometimes down wave. So you need to work, make a good product, make it useful for the people, make it transparent and clear. And then I believe the funds will come and the customers will use it. So the answering your question, the rising funds is quite tricky, but making these two things together, like making good product and a transparent and a clear company, I believe will help, and the funds will follow sooner or later.
All right. So Vlad is also our guest on our Tech Quarterly Meetup. So if you want to head over to YouTube, to the Hipther TV channel, and search for the Tech Q3 Meetup, you will see our discussion about this, especially in terms of how tricky the fintech market is right now is in Europe, and what are the latest European Commission objectives. So with your experience in establishing free licensed financial companies, what advice would you give to someone looking to set up a regulated fintech company?
Yeah, that's a good question. First, start as soon as possible, because usually we underestimate the timing required for the process. For example, with the first project, I was thinking, okay, what could be so difficult? 3 months and done. No, it's actually much more, and you need to understand that and plan accordingly. So if you have a IT team working, and the point where you will get the license could be 1 year in advance or 2 years in advance. So you need to understand the budgeting for development, for support of your project for a longer period of time. That's the one thing. And the another thing, of course, is to find the right people, the right team, work with professionals. Because if we're talking about Europe, there is many options where to go for a license, and every option is sometimes a little bit different, a little bit interesting from one perspective, a little bit less interesting from another perspective. But I believe it's always good to talk with local consultants, law firms, or professional in the industry, because they know a little bit more than you think. If you are doing like a cross-border licensing, I mean, if you, for example, living in UK and want to get a license in Bulgaria or something else, so you need to work around internationally and build around you a good and professional team.
All right. So since you mentioned team, you emphasize on building teams based on trust and respect. And how do you foster and maintain such a culture, especially in an industry as dynamic as fintech industries?
Okay. So trust is always important because you are building the product what is very sensitive. It's again, it's about the money, about the other people money, so how it could be done without the trust. But you, of course, you need to build the team around you with level of trust, but you are not able to blind trust anyone. Trust but check. as you say. Yeah
Trust but don't trust totally.
yes, it's your responsibility as a owner or as a manager or as a director. So of course you are not able to do everything by yourself, but you sometimes need to understand what other people is doing and how they're doing. That's true. And respect in this regards, it's also respect of other people. I mean, I don't like this maybe more traditional banking organization when you come to work at 9 and leave at 5, and you have 40 minutes lunch break, and that's it. And you're sitting by the computer and working. In fintech industry, it's not possible because our people, our surrounding, it's more with the artistical mind. It's not possible for him to come at work at 9 because he's sleeping. Maybe he will be working at 11 in the night, and he will I don't know, just write a perfect piece of code that will solve the weeks of potential work.
Yeah.
So in this regard, I think a little bit more flexibility in fintech industry more welcome to.
All right. And maybe they are networking and attending conferences and learning about the fintech world. So as someone who is actively participating in conferences, how important do you think networking and continuous learning are in the fintech world?
I think it is very important, and not only for learning, but networking also can bring you a good partnership, good ideas. Maybe somebody will be telling something related to your work, what you can implement, or maybe you will find a solution for the problem you were thinking for a couple months, just chatting with some person in the conference. So I believe it's a very good way for networking, for learning, and also even if you are just planning to start your career in fintech and you don't know how to start, there is no maybe there is now courses in a university dedicated to fintech, but I don't think it's like completely updated and completely perfect, because it's such a dynamic environment. So you make a course for 1 year, but in 1 year everything has changed and you need to adjust it. But the conference is a perfect way just to start your journey in this industry. So you can just go first, listen, try to ask questions, and then repeat, and finally you will be a fintech expert.
Yeah, we have this experience since we've been doing conferences for 8 years. We have this experience with some of the participants who, like you said, they attend, they listen, they repeat it, and in 8 years they become a speaker at that conference. So that's the journey. So looking at the global fintech landscape, what trends or innovation excite you most for the future?
Now it's very popular to talk about artificial intelligence, AI.
Yeah.
I think it's a good point. Where I believe it can be used, it's compliance and monitoring, because it requires a lot of person hours working by the computer, analyzing a big bunch of data. And potentially AI can take part of these technical jobs and just bring attention to certain accidents, potential risks, potential, ways where the person needs to be involved and analyze it deeply. So I think this is one side. And what else can say? Of course, blockchain possibly. Sooner or later it will come. It's a matter of time and matter of how the people and governments around will use it, because the technology is good. The way how people are using it, it's another question.
Yeah, exactly. So finally, with your extensive experience and your vision for the future, where do you see the fintech industry heading in the next decade? And maybe what role do you hope to play in it?
Okay. I think talking about next decade, it's quite a long journey.
We look for the future.
Yeah. So possibly it will be like banking infrastructure, traditional banking infrastructure, serving fintech companies. It will be like a huge wholesaler. So individuals will not require traditional banking account anymore because they can get require services from, for example, 3 fintech companies. And then these banks serving these fintech companies, and then fintech companies making it more efficient, working with the individuals. Of course, banks will maybe not like the way how it works, and they will try to give more push on these new products, new ideas, and they will have they always have good resources, but they usually have less flexibility in changing the system and changing the environment. So this could be a little bit tricky. What will give possibility to this new fintech to grow? So I think, talking about decades, it's maybe too much, but everything should be very easy, transparent, seamless, and understandable with a perfect user interface. How it can be done, it's a question, but the money will flow, or transactions records will change in the system. So there's different options. Sorry, I didn't give you like a direct answer, but just direction of I think the industry is moving.
That's what I wanted. So thank you so much for your time, Vlad, and then thank you for the listeners for joining us. Make sure to subscribe to get notified about the next episode. And Vlad, if you want to say some parting words to the audience, you might be my guest.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you. And just if you are in this podcast and you are interested in the industry, just stop thinking and start doing it. Time is critical.
All right. So thank you so much.
And that's a wrap for this section of Hipther Talks. Thank you for being a part of our journey today. Don't forget to tune in next week for more insights and discussions. Stay connected with us on Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and more. Until then, keep exploring and keep growing. We'll see you next time.